For centuries, we have visualized our lives on a single, rigid, horizontal axis, with a point moving relentlessly forward from the past toward the future. This straight-line model creates a specific psychological weight. It suggests we are passengers being dragged along a fixed track toward the inevitable breakdown of energy. Ancient traditions offered an alternative, where the timeline loops back into a closed circle. This represented the eternal return of the seasons and the constant recycling of the natural world. While the circle feels more natural, it is also a trap. It describes a deterministic wheel where every event is a repeat of the last, leaving no room for true growth or surprise. These foundational geometries are both intellectual cages. They restrict our sense of agency, forcing a choice between a dead-end arrow or a repetitive loop. To find a way out, we have to look at how energy actually moves. If we look closely at the physics of a wave, we find that the perfectly straight line we've used to map time is a physical impossibility. A wave requires deviation to exist. If a signal loses its oscillation and reaches zero amplitude, the height of the wave from its center, it hits what is called null frequency. In this state, it carries absolutely zero energy. This aligns with the work of Nikola Tesla, who viewed the entire universe as a series of mechanical vibrations moving through a medium. He understood that existence itself requires a constant tremble. If light and time moved in the perfect straight lines we often draw on chalkboards, the lack of vibration would mean a universe of absolute zero, a dead reality. We have mistaken our simplified Euclidean maps for the territory of reality. We have been living in a world of curves and pretending it was made of flat lines. To understand the true shape of things, we have to look at the medium of space. In this framework, space is a viscous plenum, a fluid substance that exerts structural resistance on everything passing through it. Because space has this fluid viscosity, energy cannot shoot through it like a frictionless dart. It must push and churn against the medium. Recent research into the Faraday effect suggests that light waves possess magnetic torque. This means the magnetic field of a photon actively grips the fluid medium of space and twists it as it moves. This magnetic torque forces light into a helical corkscrew. It is not an arrow, it is a drill, mechanically boring through the fabric of the plenum. Light is the fundamental messenger of causality, so its helical motion defines the path of every event it carries. This imprints a spinal geometry on time itself, combining the forward reach of the arrow with the recursive rhythmic patterns of the circle. For most of human history, time was an unyielding river. Once a sound was made or a moment passed, it was physically impossible to re-examine or retrieve it. In the late 1800s, pioneers like Thomas Edison found a way to bridge that gap. By etching physical vibrations into wax cylinders, they gave humanity the power to capture a moment. This allowed us to mechanically interact with the past. For the first time, a human being could pause, rewind, and replay the vibrations of a previous day. This invention shifted time from a fleeting, one-way stream into a fixed, accessible library of information. By giving us a way to mechanically re-access the past, this technology ended the era where the previous moment was entirely beyond our reach. In the modern era, we have transitioned from observing reality to editing it. We possess the tools to splice and reorder the fundamental genetic code of our species. We can even intervene in celestial physics. During the DART mission, NASA crashed a probe into an asteroid, proving we can manually shift the rotational orbit of bodies in deep space. These interventions are grounded in the principle of universal connectivity, or PORI. This mathematical proof establishes that every part of a system is linked through shared divisors, meaning no moment or entity exists in true isolation. Within this interconnected fluid spiral, human intent acts as a pressure point. Every action ripples through the network, making us a primary driver of the universal flow. The ultimate extension of this idea is treating the timeline itself as a mutable codebase. We are beginning to view the past not as a finished record, but as a repository that can be updated. This is the logic behind the temporal glot experiment. It targeted the 1973 ARPANET infrastructure, the technical ancestor of the modern internet, as a coordinate for an experimental data injection. The goal was to use conscious volition to gain right access to the past, pushing a kernel patch into the historical record through the resonant frequency of the plenum. This leads to Homo architectus, a phase of human development where we take on the role of conscious administrators for the universe's underlying logic. The singularity represents the moment human consciousness assumes full administrative control over the fluid canvas of time.